Hi there, I'm James Schannep. It's 5 o'clock here in California. I understand it's 1 a.m. there in the UK, but we have people here from all over the world, so thank you to those of you who are joining. And as it is 5 o'clock, cheers. This is going to be the only You Are the Bureau that I'd be able to attend, so given the time difference. So I'd like to just let people who may not be familiar with me and my books, I'm going to say just a few words about that. And then I have a sample for a new book, upcoming book, SPIED, that I'm working on, newest game book. And we will do somewhat of an interactive reading at that point. So my game books are all choice-based. There's no dice, so they're kind of like the old Choose Your Own Adventure, but full novel length, much deeper choices, darker consequences. They're meant really for adults or maybe teens. Each one has over 50 possible endings and at least 3 unique storylines to go through and connect. So you have the first as Infected, and I apologize for the mirrored look of the video if that's what I'm looking at, but would you survive the zombie apocalypse? Up next is Murdered, which is, could you solve a mystery set in Brazil where you play a tourist who witnesses something? Superpowered, you get one of 3 powers and can be a hero or a villain within each of those. Pathogens, this is a spin-off of Infected. It's another zombie apocalypse one, but unlike the others, you don't play as you. You pick 6 characters, can go from there, and it's sort of 6 mini adventures. The cover has changed slightly on that one, you can see on my chest here. And then the last I've released is Marooned, and that is about pirates in the Age of Sail, and I actually wrote it while I was living in England, and was able to do the Fighting Fantasy Fest and meet some of you. And also I just want to say a big thanks to John Green for including me in that, including me in this. Shout out to Ollie as well, and of course Steve and Ian for being the godfather of the genre, as they're being called. So, I don't know if there's any comments going on or if I can see that, but the idea will be that, if I can, we will do the read-through of SPIED, and people can vote or just, shout out what they'd like to try, and I'll try to go with the majority of that. This one is, given the title, it's a spy thriller, and I tried to do something a little different. I try and do something a little different with each one, but in this one in particular, it starts with a prologue. So in the very opening bit, you don't play as yourself, you play, well, you'll see. So again, any questions, comments, feel free to drop them in. Also, I know it's 1 a.m. in England, so if people have comments on this video tomorrow when they wake up, I will then try to address them when I wake up. Okay, so here's how it begins with SPIED. Here's how it works. You, dear reader, are the main character of this story, a paper pusher working for the CIA. You're only peripherally involved in the secret world until a strange dossier makes its way across your desk. You should probably give the file at least a quick glance just to know where to file it. From here, it's soon up to you to crack the code of state diplomacy or be used as an unwitting pawn by double agents. The choice is yours. Simply click the links to progress through the story. Each link represents a choice, and there's no going back, so choose wisely. Are you ready to be an international spy and secret agent? Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to click here. Good luck. Side note, in Click Your Poison, that's where the title comes from. It's optimized for ebook, but of course there are paperbacks, and those will be changed to turn to page X. Okay, that leads us to prologue. Subject, male, 35, nationality USA. Appearance, Caucasian, blonde, blue, 6'1", 175 pounds. Known aliases, Mr. Redacted, agent code name The Pointer. Affiliation, alternative intelligence, known as The Hand. Last known whereabouts, Cervinia Zermatt, Joint Italian-Switzerland Matterhorn Ski Resort, European Alps. The cameras watch diligently as he makes his way up the Italian side of the mountain, purchases a cash ticket up to the summit, and enters into the enclosed ski lifts. The pointer, a fitting code name for this field agent, a literal point man sent out into danger. If successful, this mission is to be his last. If he fails, a foregone conclusion. Will they already be checking the cameras for signs of him? No, his cover should still be intact. The agent rides alone in a gondola towards the top of the glacier. Off to his right, the Matterhorn's iconic bent crest looms in the distance, filling his gondola's plexiglass viewports with panoramic vistas of rock and snow. Fresh powder blooms from a cloud layer near the peak, one of Europe's most iconic mountains overlooking the highest winter sports area in the Alps. The cloud layer slowly sinks down the mountainside, rolling towards the same glacier as the gondola. The skiers queuing up down below should appreciate the fresh snowfall. The Matterhorn itself is far too craggy and steep for skiing, so the highest point the gondola can reach is a restaurant and viewing platform called Matterhorn Glacier Paradise. Indeed, rather than a mountain, this is an enormous glacier blanketed by winter sports aficionados, and presently at least one secret agent. Pointer is smartly dressed, nothing too fancy, no need to draw attention, but the restaurant views attract tourists who come without skis or other gear, so he won't stick out. He could blend in either as a tourist or as a businessman if either situation dictates it necessary. The gondola sways and creaks as the connector assembly threads through another tower, the last before arrival at the resort. The gondolas ahead pause to let out their passengers, and the agent stands in preparation to disembark. As he does, the agent notes a posted placard offering directions on how to proceed. Should one like to go down the Italian slope towards Sardinia, turn left. If a skier wanted to take the Switzerland side down to Zermatt, turn right. No choice for Pointer. He heads upstairs to the restaurant, residing atop the line between both countries. On the way up, he notes the sheer drop-off either side of the platform, the single door leading inside, and the service ladder which climbs up past a, quote, Matterhorn Glacier Paradise, 3,883 meters, 12,739 feet, end quote, sign, towards the antenna array on top of the rooftop. It's his training that logs these details subconsciously, should they come into play during the planned rendezvous. Pointer adjusts the handgun he carries in a shoulder holster just beneath his wind jacket. Inside, he's greeted with a setting better described as a cafe than a restaurant. Winter warmers for skiers needing a break, light bites and coffee for tourists, wine and beer for those wanting to wind down after a long day. A sign near the register humorously reads, "Soup of the day, Glühwein." It's here where Pointer knows to offer his challenge and response passphrase. "Can I help you?" the barista asks in Swiss-accented English. She's identified him as an American. Perhaps it's the rod, straight stance, the taut muscles, and square jaw that scream former military. Or maybe it's the U.S. brand prominently emblazoned on his sportswear. Likely it's because he smiled at her with the straightest teeth money can buy. "Is it beer and wine only, or do you serve cocktails?" "Just what you see here," she says, indicating a cooler off to the side. "Is there a bar I can go to?" "Not here, but there are some lower on the mountain." "Are you headed down the Italian side or the Swiss? I can show you on the trail map." "No, that's okay. Damn, I'd really hoped for a martini on top of the world." The agent pauses. The barista waits for him to continue, but he said his part of the script and isn't breaking character. Just before the barista speaks, a woman off to the side says, "And how does one take a martini on top of the world?" She speaks in a low voice, accented from a former Soviet bloc country that's hard to place. The agent turns to face her, a stunning woman in après-ski leggings, leather boots, and a down jacket with a fur-lined collar. Pointer knows the challenge and response dialogue he's supposed to say. It should be, "Stirred. I'm shaken enough after that gondola ride." But after sizing up his contact, she seems nervous, like she's fighting the urge to look over her shoulder. Is something off? Pointer decides to. Okay, you have 3 choices here. Number 1, say the opposite and see if she notices. "I like it shaken." Number 2, stick with the script. "Stirred. I'm shaken enough after that gondola ride." Or number 3, throw her a curveball. Say, "Extra dirty." So, again, 3 choices. Say the opposite, see if she notices, stick with the script, or throw her a curveball. So if you are watching this and have the ability to comment, you can vote on which line you'd like the agent to use. I'll give that a few seconds to see if anyone has that capability. Otherwise, maybe I'll just roll a dice. Tells me comments will appear here on the bottom. Sorry, this is my first live video in a long time, so... Alright, I think I'm not seeing any comments. If anybody can throw out just a test to let me know if it works, I would appreciate that. I can also check Facebook on my page here to see if anything is popping up. Okay, I think I'm not seeing any comments at the moment. So for this first one, I will roll a dice. So I'll just take this nice cursed D6 I have here. It's made of bone and human blood from ritual sacrifices. And from that, we'll go with 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 5 and 6 being the choices. We have rolled a 6, so we're going to throw her a curveball and say extra dirty. The chapter this leads to is called Mocktail. His female contact snaps into sharp focus and glowers at the agent. Pointer has intentionally misdelivered the passphrase, and this has angered a woman who was clearly already on edge. Perhaps he only meant to bring her thoughts back into the present, but regardless of intended effect, she's been completely put off. Then I'd suggest you stick with your American Budweiser, she snaps, twisting the words of the challenge and reply dialogue. She turns and starts to walk away. Pointer apologizes to the barista and follows. Hey, hold on, he says, putting a hand on her shoulder. She spins and hisses, do you think this is some kind of joke? We have these security measures for a reason. How do I know your cover hasn't been blown, or you with mine? Because if you were compromised, you either wouldn't have said the wrong thing, or you'd pass me the duress word to let me know something was wrong. She stops and thinks about this for a moment. We don't have time for games. I think I'm being followed. In this line of work, you probably are. Yes, I probably am, and yet I find you here delivering me a joke. Her accent becomes more pronounced, betraying her frustrations. I'm sorry, he said. He says, you seem distracted, and I wanted to snap you out of it. Of course I'm distracted. The mountain is crawling with Italian polizia. They've been alerted to something. I almost didn't think the mission was serious when I saw my cover name. Bunny Slopes? I can tell your agency shares your sense of humor. I'll take responsibility for that. I'm not here on official company business, technically, and I figured the silly code names might slow down and intercept operations. That stops her cold. Pointer has just admitted to performing a rogue mission. It was a ploy? Against whom? I'll explain when we have more time. Now then, the transmitter. She shakes her head. Still transmitting on the rooftop. They'll know as soon as it's removed. Bunny steps over to the side to a high-top table, opens her handbag, and produces a pair of men's ski goggles. Pointer follows her, sidles up to the table, and pushes 2 abandoned pints out of the way so the table is clear for him to examine the goggles. You'll need the key embedded in the goggle straps, and you'll need to... The contact stops suddenly, her eyes to the entry. Not turning, the agent says, okay, you have 2 choices here. The first, how many are there? I'll take care of them. Or the second, let's not give them a reason for suspicion. Mind your drink there and act natural. Okay, so if you're able to comment, I see actually Stephen Griffin must have previously said choice A. Thank you. Unfortunately, I didn't see that until the dice of fate had already been rolled. So maybe I'll give a few more moments to see if any comments can come in. Meanwhile, I'll help myself to some beer. Okay, I see Stephen Griffin again. 2 choices. How many are there? I'll take care of them. Okay, so I think that's what his vote is for. And let's not give them a reason for suspicion. Mind your drink there and act natural. Yeah, it looks like Stephen's comments are coming in. If anyone else wants to weigh in on the vote, share general thoughts, what have you, I'll give it another moment. You can see with my books, I do try to have the emphasis be on heavy on book. There's a lot of description and detail. They tend to be long, at least 100,000 words. And yeah, that should give you a bit of a taste for what SPIED is going to be. Okay, so Steven's comments are coming through. Thanks, Steven. And so far, he is voting for choice A. So I think we will go with that, which is, how many are there? I'll take care of them. That leads to a chapter called Silence is Golden. 3, she says. Pointer's brow rises. All closer to the entrance? That's poorly planned. One is holding a photograph, probably yours. None are presently armed. How disappointing. Pointer reaches into his jacket, pulls out a black handgun with a long silencer attached. Fluidly, he turns around, points the weapon, and thwip, 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 he kills all 3 men with 1 shot to the head each. As the 3 policemen fall to the floor, all eyes turn towards Pointer and Miss Slopes. There's a brief pause where no one knows quite what to do next. Then someone screams and all the patrons flee towards the nearest exits. All right, that's where I should have said, nobody move. You fool, Bunny says. Now they'll lock down the whole mountain. They would have done so regardless. Now they'll be sending men up here, and we'll be long gone. But I wouldn't take the gondola. They'll likely shut it down before you can make it back to base. You're not coming? They're looking for me. You're better off on your own. Pointer steps forward and picks up the photo the policeman had been carrying. It is indeed a photograph of Pointer himself. Nice headshot, the agent says, before tossing the photo back onto the bodies. Assassins dressed as police? Bunny asks, hopeful. The look on the agent's face betrays the truth. No such luck. The information on that transponder is worth more than a few lives. We're talking about the survival of the human race here. She frowns. She can't tell if he's being serious, or maybe she doubts if he's crazier than she originally thought, wondering if she's on the right side. Too late for those doubts now. Then I wish you good luck and Godspeed. With that, she backs away. Pointer stows his weapon, and... decision. There are 2 here. Number 1. Decides to hide the bodies and put on one of the policemen's uniforms. Or, number 2, moves quickly up to the rooftop. Best to get that transponder and get out of here quickly. Okay, so the 2 choices are hide the bodies and dress and disguise as a policeman, or head up to the rooftop for the transponder right away. So again, I've seen the views kind of fluctuate, so if you are just joining us, the idea is tell me what choice you want. And failing any meaningful vote, I will roll the dice of fate. Don't make me do it. I think there's a small delay with comments, so I'm going to enjoy a few sips of my beer while I allow people to have the opportunity to say option 1 or option 2. Or possibly tell me if they're surprised the secret agent just killed some policemen, or something else relevant to the story. All right, Steven says, well, I'd go for the transponder, but I'd let it be egalitarian. Okay, so we have 1 vote for the transponder. A few more voyeurs who don't feel like typing. All right, I think we will go with head up to get the transponder. So, option 2. Okay, this chapter is called The Quick and the Dead. There's a sense of panic in the mountaintop lodge, likely because someone discharged a firearm recently and sent everyone fleeing. Still, with everyone running for the gondolas or the slopes, Pointer finds no one particularly seems to care what he's doing, at least no one who might stop him. On his way out, he notices Bunny Slopes rifling through abandoned ski gear to find a way down the mountain, stealing a pair of boots and skis in the chaos. The agent continues outside and seeks out the maintenance ladder up to the roof. It's windy out, more so than when he arrived. As he climbs, the storm clouds that were rolling down the Matterhorn are finally reaching the slopes. The storm has almost reached this building, which could prove helpful when trying to escape. He puts on the ski goggles given to him by Miss Bunny Slopes, bathing his vision in soft red. Through the wind and snow, a dashed red line appears on the concrete, visible only while wearing the goggles. He follows the trail, which leads to the base of one of the antennas. Pointer crouches down, finds a transparent plastic lockbox attached to the stem, and sees the transponder inside, blinking slowly. He removes the goggles, finds the key sewn into a hidden pocket in the straps, unlocks, and claims the transponder. Standing, he pockets the transponder, but quickly turns. Instinctually, his hand goes into his jacket, ready to use his silent pistol, but the threat doesn't come from close by. A loud engine noise draws his attention to the opposite side of the rooftop. In the distance, a helicopter marked with the Italian flag rises up towards the rooftop. This means Cervinia is far more prepared than he has anticipated, and his best bet is to head into neutral Switzerland and make his escape via Zermatt. Quickly, the agent decides two options here. Number 1, look for a snowmobile or other motorized vehicle. There must be keys nearby. Number 2, shoot at the helicopter, forcing them to evade. So your two choices are to get running right away or to fire at the helicopter with your handgun. If you have any thoughts, feel free to put them in the comments. I'm also happy to roll my cursed dice if anyone just wants to let fate decide. I mean, just look how weird and asymmetrical these numbers are. Like, okay, we've got 1 vote from Steven for shoot the helicopter. Okay, I'm going to give it another minute or so. Probably not a full minute because that's too long, but a few seconds to see if anyone else has any other thoughts. Otherwise, Steven, I hope you're enjoying your way through the book with your private choices. VIP treatment right here. Steven says, man, I'm going to get us killed here. Sorry. That's kind of the part of the fun of these books, though, right? Is, you know, sometimes you're like, is this the right choice? I don't know. Let's see what happens. You know, you can always start over, right? Okay, I'm not seeing any other comments. Steven's hoping to get us killed. Let's see what happens. Shoot the helicopter first, forcing them to evade. Okay, this is called a pistol to a Gatling gun fight. Pointer fires at the helicopter, knowing there won't be much muzzle flash because of his silencer. Instead, he must let them get close enough to send a message via cracked windshield. It turns out this is a military helicopter, a gunship, not some ski patrol evacuation chopper. They open fire with the Gatling gun on the tip of the aircraft. 20mm shells rip open the rooftop, tearing apart antenna array and showering the agent with shrapnel. Temporarily blinded, he tries running, but the helicopter has the ultimate high ground, and they track him with ease. Turns out he's not the only one with a license to kill. The end. Okay, so I feel like we could do more. Do you feel like doing more, Steven? You want to go back and see what happened doing the other choice? I think I'm the only one on the schedule from this my time 5 to 6, UK 1 to 2. So I'd be willing to give it a couple more choices. Got my lovely pint from Firestone Brewery here in California, in a glass from the Loch Ness Brewery, one of my souvenirs from my time in the UK. Okay, Steven says, aw balls, yes please. Yeah, maybe I should give a hint. Obviously the agent would know the difference between a ski patrol and a military helicopter, so maybe I should give more of a hint than just it having the American flag on it. Say something about it being, you know, dark military green or something like that. I don't know. I'll think about it for the rewrite. This is a work in progress, so I can change it. Okay. So we're going to go with look for a snowmobile or other motorized vehicle. There must be keys nearby. That takes us to a chapter called Mobile. Several snowmobiles wait below, parked near the maintenance ladder. These are meant for ski patrol in case of emergencies, and have a stretcher attached to the rear as a sled to carry injured skiers. Because these are often used for life and death scenarios, the keys are stored with the vehicles, which makes stealing one a breeze. Pointer leaps on, guns the engine, and blasts away, yanking the stretcher, which fishtails and slaps into the other snowmobiles before it steadies. Several nearby skiers scream curses at him in several different languages as he almost runs them over. The helicopter bears down the snowmobile, but the agent steers towards the cloud bank to try and lose them. It seems he's not fast enough, however, as the helicopter opens fire from above, kicking the snow up in a line leading towards the snowmobile as the gunner adjusts fire. Pointer hits a jump at the perfect moment and steers the snowmobile away from the tree line and towards the gondola towers in an effort to stymie the helicopter pilot with the gondola wires as obstacles. The snowmobile slaloms the gondola posts, making him difficult to follow until he finally makes it into the haze of the snowstorm, cutting off the helicopter for good. The agent looks back, noting the helicopter turn away, lest it risk hitting a gondola wire in low visibility conditions. He can't help but smile at having made his escape. Gunshots return his attention to the front, where automatic weapons blast at him from down below. His victory over the helicopter is cut short, as he is soon joined by a trio of other snowmobiles driven by Italian police and military. This operation must have been blown for some time if even the army had been mobilized. That certainly wasn't a ski patrol helicopter. Thinking quickly, Pointer flips backwards and onto the stretcher sled, reducing his profile and keeping him temporarily safe from the machine gun attack. He unholsters his long, sleek, silent pistol, staying as flat and low as he can on the sled. Ting, ting! Bullets ricochet off the snowmobile, which absorbs the bulk of the gunfire. With no one at the controls, his snowmobile slows, and those driven by his enemies soon surround him. But in the snowstorm, they appear confused as to where the agent disappeared to. The pistol rises first, allowing Pointer to fire before the soldiers realize what hit them. Quick and efficiently, Pointer kills all his adversaries. He then reloads his pistol, and, examining his own snowmobile, finds it's no longer serviceable. The snowstorm grows in intensity, now with a brutal wind. In only a light jacket, the cold penetrates. The agent can't know for sure how much further until he reaches the Swiss side of the mountain, but he knows it is his best means of escape. He decides two choices. Number 1, take one of the Italian snowmobiles and continue down the mountain. These Italian forces won't dare pursue across border lines, and he can disappear in his Zermatt. Number 2, call it in. There are too many soldiers and police on the mountain, and he better lay low while an extraction team forms to aid in escape. So the two choices, the two options are commandeering one of the Italian snowmobiles and continuing towards the Swiss side, or number 2, calling it in and getting an extraction team to get you out because there's too much happening on the mountain. So Stephen and anyone else who'd like to join, feel free to comment. I will meanwhile eye my dice of fate here. Got Firestone Flyjack on the menu. Firestone motto is beer before glory. It's a good, nice local California brew. I'm enjoying it. Okay, Steven's option, flee for the border on the snowmobile, please. So polite, such a polite secret agent. Okay, give it a couple minutes to see if our lurking viewers decide they'd like to join in as well. More the merrier. Okay, I believe flee for the border on the snowmobile wins the day. Okay, that leads to a chapter entitled Lawful Neutral. Pointer shivers as he continues down the slope. The snowstorm would have been bad enough on foot, but it's a biting wind that cuts through as he cruises down the mountain. That windbreaker isn't quite living up to its name. Soon the conditions go to complete whiteout. Has he missed a turn? Is he truly headed down to the Swiss side of town of Zermatt? Or did he get disoriented and curl back towards the Italian village of Cervinia? Or worse yet, did he get so turned around that he's headed down into the wilderness? How long can he survive out here in only a light jacket? Then a red haze appears lower on the mountain, growing as the agent continues down the slopes. Soon the red glow materializes into a flag, flapping in the wind, a white cross in the center. It's the Swiss flag. He's made it. The snowstorm starts to clear as well. It had been coming down the slopes of the Matterhorn onto the Klein Matterhorn ski resort, and Pointer has finally emerged from this cloud layer, largely unscathed. Zermatt is an old-world-style European village, a small town nestled in the valley and built before automobiles. The streets are too small for cars, in fact. Only foot traffic from small shop to small shop and up to the resorts to ski lifts, where Pointer now emerges. But they are waiting for him. No, not the Italian authorities. He's escaped from their military and police, only to find a new group waiting in neutral Switzerland. Interpol. "Hello there," the lead Interpol agent says with a friendly wave. "You look rather cold. I'm sure the Italian Polizia will be happy to offer a coffee in exchange for answering a few questions." Pointer's eyes dart, quickly scanning his options. They're blocking his way down into the town, but there is a river that runs alongside Zermatt. He couldn't survive more than a few minutes in the frigid water, but they'd be insane to follow, wouldn't they? The agent decides two choices. Number 1, return back to Cervinia quietly and explain his diplomatic immunity. Number 2, leap into the river and escape further down into the town. See, a heart has appeared on the screen. So, 2 choices. Feel free to weigh in the comments. Join Stephen in his adventure. Return back to Cervinia quietly and explain his diplomatic immunity. That's choice number 1. Or leap into the river and escape further down into the town. Choice number 2. While I wait for Stephen and anyone else to comment before I consider rolling my dice of fate, I'll say that I feel like I'm over a third of the way done with the writing. The plotting is done with this book. I just need to fill things in. I'm expecting my second child in mid-October, so the idea is to hopefully get a first draft done before then. I am working on it every day, but then the idea would be that once the initial shock of a new baby, I can edit that first draft and get things going out, hopefully sometime in early New Year's, once the dumpster fire that is the year 2020 is over. So that's my plan for SPIED. I think you guys are really going to enjoy it, especially if you liked Murdered. It's one of my very non-fantasy, no zombies, no superheroes, grounded, I guess, game books. All right. Stephen is trying to get the lurkers to jump in. I mean, if okay, perhaps the river. Congrats on child number 2. Thank you, Stephen. Okay, so we've got 1 vote for leaping into the river. Give the lurkers another moment. Yeah, child number 2 is definitely a game changer. Okay, I believe we're going to leap into the river and escape further down into the town. This chapter is called Out of the Frying Pan. The secret agent dramatically runs from the Interpol agents, who give chase right up until the point where he launches himself over the wrought iron barrier and into the icy river down below. The banks of the river are fairly wide, but very rocky, and Pointer finds himself lucky that the snowmelt has made the high water mark deep this time of year. He splashes into the river, resisting the urge to gasp from the cold, which would surely fill his lungs with icy water. Once the initial shock subsides, he rolls onto his back and kicks away from the larger boulders as he flows down the river. It's a rapid-moving body of water, the stream propelled by the steep incline of the mountain, rushing its deluge down into the valley below. Pointer knows he doesn't have much time in the frigid waters, which are probably only resisting freezing over due to the speed and flow of the river. He swims over to the banks beneath the nearest bridge. Pulling from the small survival kit he keeps stored, the agent fumbles with numb fingers until he manages to inject himself with some pain reliever or stimulant, morphine or adrenaline he can't remember with the shock of the cold. Something to keep him alert and moving until he can get warm. Back up in the streets, he stumbles past tourists looking for a safe haven. "In here!" someone shouts. Too disoriented to protest, Pointer follows. Once inside, he's wrapped with blankets. I'm hallucinating." "Afraid not," says his rescuer. "What are you doing here?" "Should I not be asking you the same?" Pointer shivers, trying to understand. At length, he asks, "The transponder?" "Not quite. I came for you because you came for the transponder. Arrivederci." "Wait," Pointer says, too late. Whatever else he had to say was cut short, a declaration of silence punctuated by a gunshot. Click to continue. So no choice here. We're going straight on. This chapter is called SPIED. That ends the prologue, but I will give you this teaser as to your character, so I'll read the next chapter, but thus will end our adventure. Okay, SPIED. Finished reading, you lower and close the dossier. The manila folder is stamped top secret, though it was left open on the desk, and therefore you wouldn't have known of its classification until too late. As a secretary, you've only been granted a secret clearance, enabling you to pass on documents like this one to your superiors, but not to read them for yourself. This file, the one covering the mysterious disappearance of the now-deceased agent known as the Pointer, has no cover sheet, so you don't know for whom it was intended. It certainly shouldn't have appeared on your desk, that much is obvious. Maybe a quick look through your desk's mail inbox will find a folder this dossier fell out of. That might clear things up, if you found mail intended for a deputy director, for example, which had come open and dropped this dossier out of its original envelope. You thumb through all the folders and envelopes in the inbox, but nothing lacks a good seal. Instead, what jumps out is a small padded mailer with your name on it, sent from Ted in Information Technology, IT. You don't know him well, but you've worked with Ted sporadically during your 6 months of employment at the Central Intelligence Agency, CIA. Ted helped you complete your initial and recurring computer-based testing, CBTs, which is why you know you shouldn't have read classified material above your clearance level. Most recently, you spoke to Ted over the phone when you let him know about an error you found when logging your monthly report into the Suspicious Personnel Identification and Evaluation Database, SPIED. Ted had said it should be fairly easy for him to debug the database, so likely this package isn't related to that. Indeed, Ted has never before sent you any parcels whatsoever. The back of the padded envelope is labeled "Open immediately after reading dossier, for your eyes only." A chill runs down your spine and your palms start to perspire. Did Ted intentionally pass you classified material beyond your clearance level? That would be an extreme breach of protocol. This could cost both your jobs, not to mention the possible legal and criminal ramifications. Still, there's a twinge of curiosity. What could an IT guy and a secretary possibly have to do with the disappearance of a secret agent hailing from an agency you've never heard of before today? Your eyes dart from the "Open immediately" text in the envelope to the "Top secret" stamp on the front of the dossier and back again. What should you do? Two choices. Number one, open the padded envelope. The dossier was left for me. Might as well see what's in this too. Number two, alert your immediate supervisor. Turn in the dossier and the envelope from Ted and hope for leniency. So feel free to tell me what you would do. This is going to kind of end the teaser. For those just joining, I did mention that this is my first book that starts with a prologue, i.e. what happened to this agent known as Pointer. And at this point, the story becomes about you. So you kind of played through a different agent and his experiences. If you're watching this, it doesn't have to be live. If you're watching it later on during this delightful Gamebook day, Let me know what you think about a prologue. It's obviously not something I typically do, first time doing it. So did you enjoy it? Did you enjoy playing as the pointer? Hopefully it, wrapped you up in the story and you're excited to know what happens to you as you continue on your SPIED adventure. Beyond that, I'll say that if you look up, this video is being posted by my personal Facebook page. That's who was invited to the event. But if you look up my name, James Schannep, Schannep, like that, I have a official author page, and I also have the Click Your Poison page, which when this book launches, I will definitely be doing deals for fans, contests, just sort of fun things like that. I probably won't have my long quarantine hair at that point. My wife says it needs to be cut somehow, so that'll be going. But yeah, basically, thanks for watching. Thanks for spending the better part of an hour with me during my time slot. Again, thanks to John, Ollie, Steve, and Ian for the International Gamebook Day, and I look forward to seeing what else is being posted and celebrating all things Gamebook. Fantastic idea. Thanks for doing so. Thanks for joining in. Thanks for watching. Remember, if you do have any other questions, you're reading this later, I am more than happy to pop back on later and say hello. So again, thank you. And Stephen, thank you for joining in. It made it a lot of fun. So I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys later. Wait, one more comment. Stephen says, thanks, James. Your gamebooks are more detailed, and more literary than most, and I enjoy them greatly. Brilliant to hear you read this out loud for a personal adventure. Keep it up. And Pedro Silva says, thanks a lot. I really appreciate that, guys. This gamebook community is a nice, honestly tight-knit, where a lot of people devote a lot of their life. I really enjoy seeing all the big shelfies people have. I enjoy that a lot of people move towards gamebook creation. And it's really fun getting to know everyone. So yeah, thanks guys. I'll catch you next time.